Would you like to know how to get your kids to shut off that video game and get to their homework? How about a solution for the preschooler who takes forever to eat her meal? I've got a tool for you that will help you get more cooperation, but first let's examine the problem. So one of the problems that we have with children who are not cooperative is they're moving at a different time frame than we are. So in order for us to be able to solve this problem, we have to be able to go underneath to figure out how a child experiences time. So one of the first things that I want to offer to you is when we wake up in the morning, usually we're so stressed before we even get out of bed, right? Before your feet hit the floor. When we wake up, our mind registers the next 17 things we have to do. And then we get so stressed out. And that's the way life is as an adult, because today everything is moving so quickly, it's so fast, we can't keep up with it. Your children aren't like that. They operate completely differently. When they get up and their mind comes to life first thing in the morning, they start thinking like, what am I going to do today? They think their day is this big, giant, nebulous sea of do anything. Today, I get to do anything. And the first thing that pops into their mind is what they want, and they go after. So in the morning time, it's very stressful for parents because we're moving at 150 miles an hour. We're thinking about loading the dishwasher. We got to get lunches ready. We got to get everything ready for dinner tonight because we got company coming. I got to write that report before I get to the office. Oh my gosh, there's traffic tie-up on 91, and we just get so stressed out. But your child is walking around looking for what's on their mind. And then the parent and the child crashes when the parent gets so annoyed because the child has the audacity to sit there and play. Don't you realize how late we are? And they won't cooperate. And so one of the magical things about parenting is, as soon as your child can tell that you're in a hurry, they move slower. Because they don't like it. They don't understand, why are you moving at 150 miles an hour? The only thing that we should be doing today is playing. What's wrong with you? What's this go to work stuff? What's this load the dishwasher? Why can't we just leave laundry all over the place? Actually, they think like that when they're 15 or 5, right? It doesn't matter. So they don't have the same concerns that we have. So one of the things we need to understand is to get to the child's place of where they see time in the passing of the day to be more successful. So I think one of the greatest inventions that I have found is what we call a visual timer. You see, what do we do now when we want to time our child? I don't know about you, but a lot of parents tell me they set the microwave timer. They set it and say, okay, you can have 20 minutes on Webkinz. And then the timer goes off, and the child's still playing. And the mother goes in and goes, hey, I told you, let's go. The timer went off, now come on, get your shoes on, we got to go. And your child's like, what? Well, come on, you're not fair. I just want to get the high score. I have to save my scores. Or like when a little child with Webkinz, I just want to buy him a bed, Mom. You don't understand. He doesn't have a place to sleep. You know, and we're like, place to sleep. That's nice. It's a game. Now get moving, right? Because we're operating on a completely different plane than they are. So visual timers come into play simply because audible timers don't work. You see, a child gets immersed in the activity. So when the child is 5, 7, or 9 and playing Webkinz, they're lost in that activity. If your child's 12 and 15 and playing the greatest video game or on a television show or playing with friends, they get lost and immersed in that activity. They have no concept of the passing of time. So to a child, when you set the microwave timer and it goes off, they're like, hey, where did the time go? Come on, we do that. We do that, right? You know, when we suddenly discover we've run out of time, we're like, hey, we ran out of time. So they're not much different. Visual timers work differently. And what a visual timer is, and this one, by the way, is courtesy of Time Timer that provided this one for us. On a visual timer, you set the dial to how much time a child has for an activity. And the mechanism inside, and I think that's what the coolest thing about this device, it slowly pulls the red dial back until the time expires. So when the mechanism runs, when it finally reaches here, now the timer is still running, it's just that it can't pull the red dial anymore. So this works wonders for a child because now it's not just this audible magical tone they're waiting for or for you to come in yelling and screaming. They're watching the time. And so even if they don't know how to tell time because they're too young, it's the coolest thing. You can say, you have this much red to play with your Webkinz. You have, when the timer isn't red anymore, Mommy's going to pick up all the food on the table, and we're all going to go on to the next activity. You know how you get a little preschooler, she just drags it out. And they do that for many reasons. One is because it's fun, you know, and they're not hungry. So when the red dial runs out, then instead of, see, what would usually happen is the parent says, Mommy said that's it, we're out of time, now come on. And the child's like, come on. And then they can tell that you're in a rush, so they go even slower. But now they're watching this time, so Mommy can come up and say, oh no, look what happened. The timer ran out of red. See, it's not Mommy anymore. Because you know what happens when you go in and say, let's go. I told you you can only have 30 minutes on that video game, young man. Now let's go. And the child's like, come on, you're not fair. It's about you. And they're fighting with you. But now you can blame it on this inanimate object. And you can go, oh, look at what happened. The timer ran out. I tell you what, your child's going to run up to you and go, come on, Mom, come on, you're not fair. No child is going to go, come on, timer, come on, just a little more time. They're not going to do that because they know it's an inanimate object. So the object is you blame it on the timer. And children learn visually more than they learn audibly, and they can watch the time. Now, one parent asked me if there's any concern about causing stress for a child. My own granddaughter was one of the first children I tried this on, and she wanted to play her Webkinz. And I said, you know what? From now on, when you play Webkinz, Grandpa's going to set how much time you have. And this is how much time. And so she was watching it slowly moving. Now, it moves with time, so it's very hard to see it moving. She was at the computer playing Webkinz, and she's like this, I got to buy him a chair. I'm running out of red. You know? And she was like getting all stressed out because she was noticing it was disappearing. And she's like, now I got to buy a car. He doesn't have a big enough room. You know, it was so funny watching her. But I started getting worried. Oh, my gosh, is she getting stressed out because of the passing of time? Over time, she relaxed. So when I tell parents, if your children first experience stress over the passing of time, you know, when you relax, they relax. So the other thing that's important to understand, not only is this the new tool in your new discipline toolbox that you should be adding, another thing that works with children is, remember, their day is this big, huge, nebulous sea of do anything. I'm going to play all day long. So when we begin to slice up their day into components, when they slice it up into little pieces, they're more likely to understand about the passing of time. So let's say your child is about to start on an activity. The best thing to do is, of course, you can set the time and say, there's going to be 30 minutes. When this red runs out, we have to leave. We have to go to the store. We have to clean up the dishes, whatever. But setting things up in advance and is what I call segmentation. Because remember, again, going back to if you lift the hood on how a child thinks, they think they have all day to do whatever they want to do. But if you start breaking their day up into segments, and I encourage this for teachers as well. If teachers have an activity, it's a great thing to say, okay, everyone gather around, come here. As long as this clock is red, we're going to be playing with the blocks. But when the red runs out, it's time to end the activity. And you can present it that way to children. And so another good use for that is, let's say you have company coming over, and the cousins are coming over, and you know they act like wild Indians. You go back to the whole aspect of setting things up in advance and say, let's go over the rules for when the cousins are here. What kind of rules should we have while they're here? So not only are you using a visual timer, you're also setting up the rules in advance. And the most important thing, you're including them in the process. You're letting them help build and establish what the rules will be while the cousins are there or while we're at the store. This is great for preschoolers. You know, when you're about to go in the store, remember, When you take a preschooler, a toddler into the store and they see all these rows of food, they don't understand why we can't put all of it in the carriage. Why can't you? Why, just sitting right there. It's not even hard to take off the shelf because they don't understand commerce. They don't understand the passing of time. So again, using visual timers, breaking up a child's day into segments, you'll be far more successful with getting the cooperation that you need. So I've been working with parents on rebuilding their discipline toolbox for over 15 years, and my greatest reward is hearing about their success in implementing changes that work. In my next segment, you'll get to meet two of those parents who will be here to share with us what they did that worked and how they did it. We'll be right back after this break, so stay with us.